and welcome to part 3 of this video series I have titled Celebrating 10 Years of Classical Singing, How I Found My Voice. This has been such a fun series, and I just wanted to recap. For those that don't know, I am Maddie Hendricks. I am a blind opera singer, and for me, getting into opera and getting into classical music in general really started in high school. So I started the video series off talking about that, my experience in high school choir and how having wonderful choir directors and voice teachers over the years really inspired my love of singing, and not just singing classical music, but learning about how to sing and learning about vocal technique, and which is such an important part of any kind of singing, but with classical singing most especially, it is very, very much about the voice, and we do not use usually electronic amplification, aka microphones. So it's really important to be able to know how to sing well and how to keep the voice working, and it's really been a fascination of mine for a while. Not only that, but also just exploring classical music and opera and the stories that opera tells, and sacred music and choral music, and I just love all types of classical music. Did you know that there are so many kinds of classical music? Right? There are so many genres of popular music, like pop and country and R&B, but there's lots of different genres of classical music. We've got opera and oratorio and choral music and art song, and yeah, it's really awesome. So just a little preview for you. Anyway, so that was part 1. I talked about my journey as a singer and how I got into classical music, and then in part 2, I went into a very detailed, quite detailed discussion on what vocal ideas have helped me find my voice over the years. So I talked about some stylistic differences between choral and solo singing. I talked about ideas for breathing and how remapping my breathing and breath support, the idea of breath support and engaging my body, helped me. Also, I talked about tongue and jaw tension, and really how releasing that is really helpful for all kinds of singers. And then I talked about resonance and registration and the idea of keeping the voice really nice and forward in our upper cheekbones is really helpful for all kinds of singers. And also this, and maybe I can talk about this today too, but this idea of in the soprano voice, or in the young soprano voice, or just in a voice in general, this could also apply to male voices as well, letting the voice kind of turn over into a different register, or making that turn very seamless, and because that is very important for classical singing. That's one of the key tenets of classical singing, to make the voice sound the same throughout the voice. Low and high should have more or less the same kind of sound quality. So in this part, that was long, but in this part, in the final part of the series, I wanted to talk about some specific vocal exercises that have helped me find my voice, and these are vocal exercises I've been doing recently with my new teacher, and it's just been really, really fantastic. I have a bachelor's, master's, and artist diploma in opera performance, and I've learned so many wonderful vocal exercises over the years, so I might sneak in some of those as well. But I did want to share just a few favorite exercises that I'm doing at the moment, and so let's get started. So after some body work and breath work, I talked about that in the last video, how important alignment is to singing, and making sure from my toes to the top of my head that my toes are lifted, and then the back of to the back of my neck can be nice and relaxed, because part of our microphone for classical singing, if you will, is having that space, that open throat kind of feeling. And so after some body and breath work, some breathing exercises that I love to do, I like to do some lip trills. So if you, it kind of mimics the action of the vocal folds, what our vocal folds are doing, and that's really cool. So I like doing those kind of exercises. And I just wanted to say specifically, doing them up and down my range has been helpful, but also doing this kind of sustained feeling of the lip trill in my lower register is really, really important. I feel like, and I talked about this kind of in the last video, how sometimes when we put ourselves in parts like soprano, like, oh, if you're in a high school, if you're in choir, right, you might say, oh, I'm a soprano 1, or, you know, oh, I'm a high coloratura soprano like myself or something. Maybe you say, oh, I'm a baritone, I can't sing, you know, super high. But I like to kind of think that using the entire voice and developing all of the voice, the low and the high, is really important. So working on these sustained exercises in the lower register has been really helping me. In regards to doing it with the lip trill, I've just been simply doing a scale down and then holding the bottom note. So yeah. And I could go longer, but let's go on to the next one. Because I started on A flat, where the bottom note was the A flat, I did not think that I had a low G 2 months ago. And then my voice teacher was just like, let's just explore it. Let's just keep going down there. And I want you to just hold the note and see if you have it. And so I did it, and it just happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, I do have a low G. And she was like, yeah, you do. And so it was really exciting for me, because I have been always very insecure about my lower register. But this very simple exercise has helped me strengthen that TA, that thyroarytenoid musculature that we need to sing in our low voice. It's going to be unsteady. And just kind of feeling really hummy and letting it be imperfect. Like singing, I saw something yesterday. Singing does not have to be perfect. Perfection is not possible. So like, yeah, letting those notes, letting that low still be really, and where it doesn't really feel like steady is okay, because I'm developing it and it's happening, it's coming, and it will come. Yeah, and sometimes I like to put my hand on the back of my neck to make sure that that's nice and released. Okay, and I just wanted to say too that for me, singing low isn't big or loud or forced. Obviously, if you're a pop singer, you're gonna have a microphone, so that's gonna help you amplify. It's gonna help amplify your voice. And as a opera singer who mainly sings in the upper register, we joke in my lessons, I'm not gonna get paid for those notes. So, but it's so important to develop them and keep them nice and slender and narrow, and not think about them being loud or big or forced. But it's a really narrow feeling in my lips, and a really big, kind of a stretchy kind of feeling, like in my throat, or in my in the back, like where my molars are, and that's been really helping me. So yeah, this idea of keeping it really like hummy, mi, me, ma, mo, mu, mi, me, ma, mo, mu, Let it be really just, oh gosh. It doesn't need to sound pretty. Now, I did want to say something that's been really helping me. I talked about this in the last video. It's been the idea of like feeling like a cry feeling or a laugh feeling. And we can have different colors of that sound that's very in my mind and I'll listen to this back. But it's very kind of a chesty kind of sound. But if we were singing maybe a Mozart aria, where we maybe wouldn't want that much, we've got just different options that we can do. So ooh is really helpful. So ooh, there's this beautiful aria that I sang a few years ago. Yeah, so that kind of idea of keeping it nice and open, but not like maybe we would have in a different style. Cool. Okay, another exercise. In G slides. Really good for tongue position. Yeah, and starting soft so that we have somewhere to go is really important. Also, the idea of sliding between the first and the last note, the low and the high note, or the high and the low note, is really important for helping me keep it legato, or nice and smooth and connected. Yeah. And then we can change. Yeah. Cool. So that's really important for my middle voice, keeping the Now, the other thing that sliding has helped me with, and I kind of talked about this in the last video, was this idea of the registration shifts and going through those. Not wanting to grab, so like I'll do it a little bit lower. Where I'm not kind of letting go, I want to kind of let go. And to me, it almost feels like a little bit of a yodel. So actually I did this in Italy this summer. I kind of did some yodeling exercises. Yeah, and that was really helpful to kind of release my larynx. Cool. So let me show you some exercises, more exercises for the low. I can't believe I'm working so much of my low. I'm at this high soprano, but y'all are so important. Okay. Staccato work. So I've been liking this exercise. It's beep beep ba ba beep 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 ba ba beep. Beep beep ba ba beep 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 ba ba beep 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 ba ba beep 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 ba ba beep. And around this area of my voice, I used to want to kind of press into it. So beep beep ba ba. Yeah, it's gonna kind of be really light and easy. Beep beep ba ba beep ba, ba. And if I miss the note on the bottom, I'm gonna do that same key again. So B, B, ba, ba, B. I want to do that one more time. B, B, ba, ba, B, B, ba, ba, B, until I get it right. Cool. Okay. Coloratura. Oh yeah, that's my fave. Okay, Coloratura. What is Coloratura? Coloratura is like really fast singing. You have it in pop music too. We've got lots of vocal runs and stuff. But in classical singing, there's coloratura as well, and so I like doing some triplets. Cool. Yeah, awesome. So one of the last exercises that I wanted to show is this idea of we've got an arpeggio with a ninth added. So going through all those registers, allowing them to shift where they need to. Okay, and as we get higher, I'm gonna sink down a little bit more into my lower body. It's really important as we get higher to make sure that we've got our body really grounded so that the support is not from our neck or our jaw, but it's gonna come from our lower body muscles, our hips, maybe in our pelvic floor. Cool, so this idea of this exercise is my understanding is that what I've been working on is my tendency has been to think, oh, I'm an opera singer, I've got to use vibrato. Right? It's like this. But instead I realized that I was like manufacturing my sound, and we don't want to do that because opera is, we don't want to manufacture any kind of sound, but it's going to come from this natural place of being on the body and on the having good technique and solid technique. Is how vibrato is going to happen. So the idea that my teacher wanted me to explore was, what if you did this a little bit straight tone, and you don't, hold your voice or place your voice into any kind of, area, or manipulate it in that way to kind of hold it in place, but I'll just allow the voice to kind of have vibrato where it needs to. So I'm gonna yeah, so it's that really idea of like taking things slow and being really deliberate. And some people find this work really boring, but I really love it, and I really am after being the best singer that I can be. So that's why I do it. Okay. Last exercise that I wanted to show is some high note work. So sometimes, if I do a lot of low work, I'll kind of go up into that high range. So, I did want to say just a note on support. For me, it's this like gentle, like down and out feeling. So I do it in the low range first. If we can kind of like groan, like it's that weird like primal like sound that's going to help us like really release into our high voice. It's very strange to kind of think about it that way, but that's why for me working the low has been so important. Okay, so it's not for me pulling in up and hard. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Yeah, so okay, and yeah, so okay, so let's see. Yeah, it's feeling good today. So the idea that I wanted to demonstrate in this next one is the idea of, like, I think I mentioned this in the last video too, the idea of lifting versus spreading. So I used to have a really bad habit of this, and I still do occasionally. But it's this idea of that's a really resonant sound in my head, but it gets kind of shrill. Shrill and a little bit strident, and it's not quite on my body. So this idea of, like, lifting the cheeks is really important. And this, I've struggled to kind of feel this. But one thing that I've been working on recently is, like, biting into, like, imagining that I'm biting into something tall. So I've done this where I've actually used my fist as kind of an image. So if I have my fist in front of my face, and I'm gonna try to, like, I'm not actually doing it, but I'm gonna imagine that I'm, like, biting into something. And for me, I've got my my knees kind of bent, and I hope my tongue's not pulling back. But oh well, it's okay. Singing is a work in progress, so I have a lot of tongue tension, so oh well. Okay, let me, so I've been working, like, above high C too, so one more just for, hopefully it won't. Sometimes in the upper register, helping, what can help is doing some staccati, or short can help. Yeah, so sometimes I'll just do staccati, won't sustain the top note, so let's and I'm starting to work into my whistle register. I haven't found it yet, but it's okay. Maybe next time. Okay, cool. Thank you all so much for watching. I did just want to say that I really enjoyed this. Oh, and before I go, I was gonna demonstrate these ideas with a piece. So after I was kind of thinking about what piece might be good, but I've been exploring this Bach Gounod Ave Maria. It's almost Christmas at the time of this recording. We're about a month out from Christmas. So I was like, why not? So the tricky thing with this piece is that it goes through a lot of, well, for one, it's very, very, like, vocally demanding in that it's got a lot of range, for one, and then it also has a lot of opportunity to get off my support because the lines are very long and fluid in legato, and I want it to be I want it to be really connected to my body. So I'll just demonstrate and hopefully be able to apply these concepts I just talked about. Okay. Do that high part one more time. I'm gonna remember that it's really small and it doesn't take a lot of air actually. Okay, let's try it again. Now that part is really difficult. Let me do that one more time because there's a lot of range there. I'll work it out. Stay tuned. Cool. I wonder, just as the last thing, if I can make that that last note just a little bit easier, steadier, in my body, yeah, so that it doesn't get off my support. Cool. Thanks for watching, everyone. For those that are interested, I hope this was helpful, and cool. I'll maybe do more of these videos if you would like. It's been really fun doing this series and doing this reflection, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed, and any singers out there who find encouragement from this, that's great, yay! So maybe I'll come back and do some more of these videos, singing technique videos soon. Thanks again for watching, everyone.